Hello everyone. Over the last 24 hours, the Mahua Moitra cash for query saga has unraveled very, very fast. Multiple developments show that the TMC MP is getting cornered, and it all begins with this sworn affidavit. NDTV has now accessed sworn affidavit notarized by the Indian Embassy in Dubai with the seal of Consular General Urmila Isiwal that she has identified Darshan with a passport. Remember, Mahua Moitra had questioned the authenticity of Hiranandani's affidavit, and she had said in that press release that she issued late last night that the affidavit is on white paper, not on official letterhead or notarized. Why would one of India's most respected educated businessmen sign a letter like this until and unless there is a gun on his head? Now, that has been debunked clearly. This is a sworn affidavit which NDTV has now accessed, and it talks about clearly that this is the seal of the Consular General, and which simply means that Hiranandani has filed the same with the consulate. So that point has been debunked completely. Let's talk about what all happened in the last 24 hours. The case, which is the defamation case of Mahua Moitra, has been postponed to 31st October after her lawyer, Gopal Shankar Narayanan, withdrew from the case. This came as Jai Dehadrai told the High Court that the senior counsel had called him that previous evening and tried to mediate between him and the TMC MP. Justice Sachin Datta, who was hearing the case, said he was appalled and asked the senior counsel if he wished to continue with the case as there is a charge of conflict of interest against him. Now, coming to the probe before the Parliament's Ethics Committee. The chairman of the committee, Vinod Sonkar, has told NDTV that the committee has received the affidavit of businessman Darshan Hiranandani and that he could be summoned soon. He further added that this has gone beyond prima facie. All these coming even as the MP is questioning the veracity, which we have dismissed and debunked through this notarized affidavit, which we have just accessed on NDTV. So the question that we are asking on the show tonight, after Hiranandani confirming allegations of Jai Dehadri, what next for Mahua Moitra? Also we ask, why are the political parties in opposition silent? The story first and then the guests.
To resurrect India's founding principles of
in the cash for questions tale, a plot twist and a rap from court that now has TMC MP Mahua Moitra cornered in the raging controversy.
To resurrect the right of a non-homogeneous, diverse...
Gopal Shankar Narayanan, Mahua Moitra's arguing counsel, has withdrawn from appearing for her in court. This after Jai Dehadrai, against whom Moitra had filed a defamation case for his damning allegations, said that the TMC MP's lawyer reached out to him last night for a settlement. Judge Sachin Datta told Shankar Narayanan he was appalled at the conflict of interest, since the same person could not be both mediator and arguing counsel. Following this, Shankar Narayanan withdrew from the case.
I had reached out to him yesterday, that is correct, and I'd asked him, look, is there any way of exploring a settlement? That's all that the conversation was about. Jai had said he'd get back to me. He didn't get back to me. Today when I appeared, Jai personally said he had an objection to me appearing. I immediately withdrew.
The courtroom drama comes in the backdrop of an explosive affidavit by Darshan Hiranandani, the billionaire linked to bribery allegations against Mahua. In a surprising turn of events, Hiranandani said that Mahua had given her Lok Sabha login to him, and he uploaded questions on her account attacking PM Modi and the Adani group. He went on to say that Congress leaders Rahul Gandhi and Shashi Tharoor helped Mahua Moitra in her questions against Adani and PM Modi. Mahua Moitra called the letter a joke, asking why was it not on a letterhead or a stamp paper. She said that the government forced him to sign the letter. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Lok Sabha Ethics Committee told NDTV they have received Hiranandani's affidavit and that Mahua may be summoned after all evidence is examined.
विनोद सोनकर जी, जो आरोप लगे हैं महुआ मोइत्रा पर, गंभीर आरोप बताए जा रहे हैं, एथिक्स कमेटी इसको किस तरह से देखती है?
देखिए, निश्चित रूप से महुआ मोइत्रा पे बहुत गंभीर आरोप हैं। उसको लेके निशिकांत जी के द्वारा और सम्मानित वकील के साहब के द्वारा स्पीकर महोदय को एक पत्र दिया गया है और लोकसभा स्पीकर उस पत्र को एथिक्स कमेटी को रिफर किए हैं। उस पत्र को लेके 26 तारीख को निशिकांत जी को और उनको दोनों लोगों को कमेटी के सामने उपस्थित होके जो भी साक्ष्य उनके पास है उनको दिखाने के लिए कहा गया है, प्रस्तुत करने के लिए कहा गया है। साथ ही साथ उनके बयान को दर्ज कराने के लिए भी निशिकांत जी को भी निर्देश दिए। हीरानंदानी जी का जो एफिडेविट है उसका एग्जामिन करेगी और आवश्यकता पड़ेगा तो महुआ मोइत्रा को भी बुलाया जाएगा, उनका भी पक्ष जाना जाएगा कि उन पर जो भी चीजें आई हैं वो उसके बचाव में या उसके में क्या कहना चाहते हैं।
The BJP has questioned the silence of the India bloc.
जब ये एक प्रकार से सबजुडिस है, लोकसभा की एथिक्स कमेटी के सामने है, सारा विषय सामने आना चाहिए क्योंकि संसदीय प्रणाली में घूसखोरी की कोई स्थान नहीं है।
Opposition leaders meanwhile say we must not jump the gun on the allegations.
Why go on a witch hunt about why go on a witch hunt against people who ask questions and who raise their voices against the government?
मोइन मित्रा जी संसद की बहुत मुखर सांसदों में से एक हैं, टीएमसी की प्रमुख नेता हैं। उनकी आवाज़ जनता की आवाज़ है संसद के अंदर, लिहाजा मामला बहुत गंभीर है। मामला सारा चूँकि एथिक्स कमेटी को सौंपा गया है जिसमें वरिष्ठ सांसदों की हिस्सेदारी होती है, मुझे उम्मीद है कि एथिक्स कमेटी सब लोगों से, संबंधित पक्षों से बातचीत करके कोई इसमें उचित फैसला ले।
देखिए, अभी ऐसा कोई ठोस सबूत आया नहीं है और भारतीय जनता पार्टी के माननीय सांसद ने आरोप लगाया है, लेकिन गठबंधन से इसका कोई ताल्लुक ही नहीं है। इसको गठबंधन से जोड़ना ही गलत है।
It is becoming increasingly difficult for Mahua Moitra to wriggle out of these charges. So far, these are just allegations. The big political controversy also comes as a setback to the opposition alliance in a crucial election year. In New Delhi, Vedant Agarwal for NDTV.
And joining me first on the show is Jay Panda, BJP's National Vice President. Mr. Panda, appreciate your time. How is the BJP viewing this entire unraveling of the Mahua Moitra cash for questions or cash for queries saga?
Namaskar. First of all, I would like to point out that in an earlier cash for questions scam in Parliament nearly 2 decades ago, I had the honor of serving on the ethics committee at that time, along with real titans such as the late Sushma Swaraj and Dr. Karan Singh. And, the committee took some very tough decisions based on the evidence of cash for asking questions in Parliament. And 11 MPs lost their membership in Parliament. And they were from across the political spectrum, from different parties. So it was not a partisan exercise. It was to uphold the dignity of Parliament and the highest standards of the world's largest democracy. And so that decision also laid down a precedent. And obviously the precedent has to be applied again because you can't have different standards for different MPs just because somebody is more modern or is supported by people in certain sections, including abroad. They can't have a different yardstick. So that is one issue. Now, obviously, the BJP has been skeptical about the way this particular member of parliament had been pointedly targeting the BJP. There had been a buzz about it for a while, but the kind of disclosures made both in the allegations first revealed a few days ago and now in the written and signed statement of Mr. Hiranandani are extremely serious, and they represent conspiracy. They represent clear evidence of the same kind of ethics violations that cost other MPs their membership. And most of all, there's a national security angle, because if you are talking about giving access to filing documents in Parliament to somebody who is not connected with Parliament, somebody who has vested commercial interests, and that too outside the country. Can you imagine? I mean, this would be a field day for intelligence agencies of certain countries that are inimical to India to use such opportunities by tapping pliable member of Parliament.
And Mr. Panda, you have spoken specifically about the national security angle. Could you elaborate on that a little more? Because Darshan Hiranandani in his affidavit has said that he used the login and the password of the MP in question.
See, that is clearly illegal because, look, even if you go back 100 years in Parliament, long before you had login systems, parliaments everywhere in the world have a rule that you can't just read out a statement prepared by somebody else and act as their agent or act as their liaison. That's why in Parliament the rule is that you can't be reading out speeches. You have to make speeches without reading them out. And this is an exact modern day version of that you are allowing somebody else with vested commercial interests to directly file documents in Parliament under your name. That is, in other words, you are a Benami MP. You are an MP representing a commercial interest of somebody who is a multinational corporation or entity. So if the login is happening outside India, it is extremely serious. But even within India, it is very, very serious if it is not you or your authorized parliamentary staff, but somebody else who's doing the login.
And Mr. Panda, this certainly goes beyond the breach of parliamentary privileges of a member of parliament. If you look at Hiranandani affidavit, he's talking about larger nexus, role of various groups, politicians, which also includes Pinaki Misra, someone who comes from your state of Odisha.
Look, you mentioned breach of privilege, but this is far more serious. Privilege is something about your right to say certain things in Parliament and be protected to say those things, which you cannot say outside because you may be sued for defamation and things like that. That does not give you the right to sell your parliamentary access for expensive gifts and for cash. That is not just a privilege, violation of privilege, breach of privilege, but it is a serious violation of ethics and rules. And since there is a conspiracy angle which has been spelled out in that written statement, it's criminal. There are in fact many, many serious violations. As I said, there is a precedent for 11 MPs having lost their membership for just part of what has happened now. And there are much more serious angles here of conspiracy, not just simple taking a favor and cash or gift and filing a question, but allowing somebody else directly to file the question who has a commercial interest. I mean, if 50 out of 61 questions are being filed directly by somebody who has a commercial vested interest, and he says so in a written statement, signed statement, that is extremely serious. It's criminal. Now, whether there will be separate criminal investigation by other agencies is a different matter, but ethics committee is the highest body in Parliament, which is the highest body of making laws, and certainly they can expel members as has been the case before. Now you mentioned Pinaki Misra, who's from my state, from Odisha. Now, of course, he has been named in these allegations as handling cash for organizing these questions, and that is, of course, a serious abatement of a serious crime.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. Jai Panda there giving us his viewpoint and viewpoint certainly of the BJP as well. Joining me on the show, Nalin Kohli, a senior advocate of the Supreme Court. We have Ashwini Dubey, advocate of the Supreme Court. Vijay Sardana, economist. But first, let me begin with you, Nalin. The developments of the court today. Jay Dehadre says Gopal Shankar Narayanan has conflict of interest because he played mediator. He approached the complainant to withdraw the CBI complaint. This is certainly serious in nature.
So there are multiple aspects to it. The basic issue revolves around the allegation of Ms. Moitra raising questions against a business entity at the behest of another business entity, and in the process trying to target the BJP and the government. Now, those allegations are the core allegations. They are based on a complaint that has reached Nishikant Dubey, who is a member of parliament and who has taken it further to the speaker, which is now referred to the ethics committee. Now, that's the substance of it, that A, we've had in the past cash for questions. So were benefits taken, pecuniary or material, in lieu of asking these questions to target a business group? That's very serious, because that's not really what's expected from a parliamentarian, and certainly not from, after we've seen this country horrified with cash for questions. The next issue which comes, Maria, is about who are the people involved in it. So here now what we have are two aspects. One coming from an advocate who certainly seemed to be well known to Ms. Moitra and perhaps shared a good friendly equation with her. He's raised a set of allegations, and now he's gone ahead and raised allegations against the lawyer who's a senior advocate. Now, what I've gathered from the media is the senior lawyer has recused.
That's right.
So obviously he's accepting that there is a position of conflict of interest. And I think that's the right thing he's done. If there's a conflict of interest and he's recused, that ends the matter there. But that doesn't change the gravity of the allegations against Ms. Moitra, and certainly not in light of now her friend who has gone ahead and brought out this detailed letter, affidavit, whatever it is, to point out that, there was certainly a relationship that required him to provide her with material gifts, etc.
Okay. Nalin, I also want to understand from you, because Mahua Moitra had raised questions on the veracity of the affidavit of Darshan Hiranandani, saying that it was notarized and that this has been drafted by the Prime Minister's office. Now that the notarized sworn affidavit has come out in the public domain, what does it do to the charge that has been leveled? How has it really been debunked?
No, I think what she was probably trying to do was shoot the messenger and shoot the medium, but run away from the message. The message is more important than anything else. The substance of that document, now that we know it's notarized and it is an affidavit, but whether it was an affidavit or a letter or a document that brought out a set of allegations against her, those needed to be answered. You can't run away from those questions by saying, oh, was it notarized or not notarized? And I think substantively, legally speaking, these are the technical arguments you would take, but the main issue would always be the substance of a case.
It is about the substance of the case, the substance of allegations. Nalin Kohli, appreciate your time. Ashwini and Vijay Sardana. Ashwini, beginning with you. As we have discussed, that in the last 24 hours in particular, starting at this moment, just 24 hours ago, we got that affidavit and things have changed completely. And what appears is that every answer or question that Mahua Moitra may be raising, none of that is really holding, including what happened in the court today.
Yes, that's prima facie. If you read the affidavit that has been duly attested by an official from the Consulate General, there is substance in that affidavit. And when something is filed before any authority, that is to the constitutional authority which is empowered to investigate any commercial nexus between a person who has the parliamentary privilege to ask the questions. Second, where the immunity is being enjoyed by the parliamentarian. And third, when the conflict of interest arise in questions which are being asked in a nexus, alleged nexus, which is being investigated. So unless and until the gentleman who has deposed or sworn that affidavit comes and says, look, I have not given this affidavit, that affidavit holds fields and that is applicable. This is the position of the law. Second, the ethics committee is investigating this issue. Earlier, the Mahua Moitra used to say that the allegations are vague, allegations are false, allegations are defamatory, and in order to defame her in public domain, this has been initiated by a parliamentarian who is from the ruling BJP party. But now, since a lawyer who understands the intricacies of law, that supposingly if tomorrow it comes out to be a vague allegation, he has to face the consequences. Second, member of parliament also knows that if tomorrow it comes to be the vague allegations which he has labelled, he has to face the allegations because the allegations
Ashwini, I remember speaking to you and you said that defamation suit is premature in nature. And now she has got no relief. Instead, what has happened in the court is that the lawyer has withdrawn because the defendant said that complainant approached her. So here is someone who Jai Dehadri this morning had tweeted that he was approached and coerced.
Yes, Maria, there are, so far as the civil defamation or criminal defamation are concerned, unless and until there is justification to the truth. And justification to the truth would only reveal after a due inquiry. If ethics committee tomorrow reaches to the conclusion that allegations are true, then the contempt position will go. And there are two stages in any contempt, either the civil contempt or criminal contempt.
This was a civil case, but then he was approached, as Jay Dehadri said, and Gopal Shankar Narayanan accepted that yes, I had approached him. So the question then is that angle that you have to withdraw your CBI case, the complaint that is there before the CBI. So if you look at prima facie again, as events unfold, come in on this Vijay Sardana, particularly I'm looking at this paragraph in this affidavit, the sworn affidavit, which is of great concern to India, I would say. Vijay Sardana, as an economist, would you say that this is about targeting the India story? Because, you know, one thing which is becoming clear is that she thought that the only way to attack Sri Modi is by attacking Sri Gautam Adani and his group, as both are contemporaries and they belong to the same state of Gujarat.
First of all, good evening to you and to the viewers. See, this affidavit which has come now from Mr. Darshan Hiranandani, it is extremely dangerous. And it is not just now Mahua Moitra, but it opens up almost another 9 entities which needs to be probed. What you are saying is definitely important, because who are these 9 entities? Let's be very clear. If you look into the affidavit which you are reading, I will say that paragraph number 11 and 12, the names are mentioned there. Okay? Mr. Gandhi, Mr. Shashi Tharoor, Pinaki Mishra, Sucheta Dalal, Shardul Shroff, Pallavi Shroff, then representative of Financial Times, representative of New York Times and BBC. They all are named. There may be many more which may be named or may emerge later on. Now look at the thing that this citizen who is writing affidavit is a right now citizen, or I will say the resident of Dubai. He is based outside India. Then he is interacting with some of the well-known people in India. Now let me, for the audience, if you give me a minute, let me explain.
Yes.
Mr. Rahul Gandhi, leader of opposition technically. He is the most vocal voice or the face of opposition parties or political system in India. Mr. Shashi Tharoor, another well-known person with global international contacts. Mr. Pinaki Mishra, a well-known lawyer and a politician from Odisha. Sucheta Dalal frequently writes on financial matters, economic matters, government policy related to investments and related to business aspects. Well-known person in the business means she is influencer. Whatever she will write, people will take seriously. Then we are talking about Mr. Shardul Shroff, the owner, promoter and whatever you call it, of the India's largest law firm. He is actually the owner, and imagine the largest law firm of India must be handling one of the maximum cases of Indian and foreign companies and must be dealing with a whole lot of in the policy system. Then Pallavi Shroff, technically wife of Mr. Shardul Shroff, partner of Amarchand Mangaldas, again the largest firm, also a lawyer. And then we have 3 international newspapers, Financial Times, New York Times and BBC. And all 3 these media houses were known to target India on various occasions. Now with this background, you can understand that there is a channel, which is a communication, which is a media house. They need input, and input should be credible. So who is providing the credibility to the input? The well-known names which I mentioned. This is outside. Mr. Shardul Shroff, Mrs. Pallavi Shroff and Sucheta Dalal are not parliamentarians. We have to be very clear. So they will make noise outside, which will be captured by 3 global well-recognized media houses. Then you have 3 people, Mr. Gandhi, Mr. Tharoor and Mr. Pinaki Mishra. They will make noise inside parliament, and which will be covered by the global media. So this is a well designed, let me put a word in the absence of anything else, a conspiracy against India's interest.
All right.
Otherwise, what is the focus? Focus is not business per se. Focus is to target the Prime Minister of India, because when you are going into reforms of the development of India, definitely few business interests will suffer. Few will gain. This is a normal process in any policy making. Now, if you cannot hit Mr. Modi directly because you have no evidence, then you start creating a proxy and start targeting Mr. Adani, because both comes from Gujarat, both have a former relation. When he was a chief minister, the other person was a businessman in Gujarat. People have a tendency to have a loose connection with each other, so you try to have a soft targeting. This whole needs to be investigated, because let us be very clear.
Yes.
This is not only Mahua Moitra's case. This cartel, or let me say this syndicate or consortium of anti-India people must having many more tentacles and many more agenda on the line. I will say these are maybe the mastermind of toolkit against India.
Those
So
are
this
strong
needs
words,
have a-
certainly, Vijay Sardana, and thank you for breaking the entire conspiracy, the alleged conspiracy for us. Ashwini Dubey, Vijay Sardana, appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Earlier today, I spoke to the Ethics Committee chairman, and this is what he had to say. He said clearly that prima facie, this case has gone beyond that. There is much more than what is playing right in front of us. विनोद सोनकर जी, जो आरोप लगे हैं महुआ मोइत्रा पर, गंभीर आरोप बताए जा रहे हैं, एथिक्स कमेटी इसको किस तरह से देखती है?
देखिए, निश्चित रूप से महुआ मोइत्रा पे बहुत गंभीर आरोप हैं। उसको लेके निशिकांत जी के द्वारा और सम्मानित वकील के साहब के द्वारा स्पीकर महोदय को एक पत्र दिया गया है, और लोकसभा स्पीकर उस पत्र को एथिक्स कमेटी को रिफर किए हैं। उस पत्र को लेके 26 तारीख को निशिकांत जी को और उनको दोनों लोगों को कमेटी के सामने उपस्थित होके जो भी साक्ष्य उनके पास है उनको दिखाने के लिए कहा गया है, प्रस्तुत करने के लिए कहा गया है। साथ ही साथ उनके बयान को दर्ज कराने के लिए भी निशिकांत जी को भी निर्देश दिए
जी। एथिक्स कमेटी किस रूप से इसको देखती है, मेरा सवाल इसलिए है क्योंकि कल दर्शन हीरानंदानी ने भी एथिक्स कमेटी को अपना एक एफिडेविट भेजा है और ये भी कहा है कि उन्होंने महुआ मोइत्रा का लॉगिन आईडी और पासवर्ड यूज किया था अपना सवाल डालने के लिए, जो एक कॉर्पोरेट हाउस को टारगेट करते हुए है और उनको बेनिफिट करते हुए है।
हीरानंदानी साहब का एफिडेविट भी एथिक्स कमेटी को प्राप्त हो चुका है। अब निशिकांत जी के बयान के बाद अगर आवश्यकता पड़ेगी तो कमेटी अगर निर्णय लेगी तो जो लोग भी पक्षकार हैं उनका भी बयान दर्ज किया जाएगा और पूरे मैटर को एग्जामिन करने के बाद ही कमेटी कोई निर्णय लेगी।
2005 में देखा गया था विनोद जी कि जो स्टिंग ऑपरेशन में जो मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट जो सांसद दिखे थे उन पर कार्रवाई एक इंडिपेंडेंट कमेटी ने किया था, पवन कुमार बंसल जी की कमेटी ने किया था और उसके बाद फिर फैसला सदन में हुआ था। यहां पर क्या आप महुआ मोइत्रा को भी बुलाएंगे अपीयर करने के लिए, क्योंकि आपका कहना है कि दर्शन हीरानंदानी का एफिडेविट रिसीव हो गया है एथिक्स कमेटी के पास?
ये देखिए, कमेटी निर्णय लेगी, निशिकांत जी के पत्र को संज्ञान लेकर उसका एग्जामिन करेगी, हीरानंदानी जी का जो एफिडेविट है उसका एग्जामिन करेगी और आवश्यकता पड़ेगा तो महुआ मोइत्रा को भी बुलाया जाएगा, उनका भी पक्ष जाना जाएगा कि उन पर जो भी चीजें आई हैं वो उसके बचाव में या उसके में क्या कहना चाहते हैं, उनका भी पक्ष सुना जाएगा जी। उनका भी पक्ष सुनने के बाद ही कोई निर्णय लेगा
जी। तो कोई टाइमलाइन पर एथिक्स कमेटी काम करेगी, क्योंकि जो 17वां संसद है, जो ये 17th लोकसभा है, वो तो अभी कुछ महीने में ही खत्म हो जाएगा, 2024 का चुनाव आने वाला है।
देखिए, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में एक बात देश में कही है, जो हम शुरू करते हैं खत्म भी हम ही करेंगे
जी। मेरा आखिरी सवाल आपसे विनोद जी, हम जानते हैं आप बहुत बिजी हैं, मेरा सवाल ये होगा कि पार्लियामेंटेरियंस का क्लियर लिखा हुआ है डूज एंड डोंट्स, क्या इसमें प्राइमा फेसाई आपको लगता है एज द चेयरमैन ऑफ द कमिटी कि कुछ जो है वो आरोप जो है उसमें सवाल उठ सकते हैं?
देखिए, प्राइमा फेसी अगर ना बनता तो फिर हम लोग नोटिस ही ना देते, अब तो विषय में जहाँ तक मुझको लगता है मामला प्राइमा फेसी से ऊपर जा चुका है। जब हीरानंदानी ने स्वयं एफिडेविट दे के कोई बात कही है तो अब तो फिर एग्जामिन करना है उनका।
Welcome back. TMC MP Mahua Moitra has been accused of taking bribes to ask questions in Parliament. These questions are believed to have helped the Hiranandani group. She also attacked the Prime Minister with questions on the Adani group. So did Mahua Moitra compromise parliamentary ethics? Ever since the controversy broke out, the opposition has been largely silent. No one has come out strongly in open defense of Mahua. Not just the opposition, but her own party, the TMC, has been silent. Sources have told NDTV that the TMC perhaps is helping her formulate her defense. But there has been just no public statement from the TMC so far. The question now is, how will this storm affect the India alliance? Because it was not just Mahua Moitra, but also Rahul Gandhi who questioned the Prime Minister on the Adani group, based on reports that followed Mahua's questions in Parliament. Questions that now are alleged to have been asked after taking a bribe. And the most important question we ask on the show tonight, why is the opposition silent, particularly the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress? Joining me on the show, Harshvardhan Tripathi, senior journalist, Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP, Gargi Nandi is a political analyst, Tehseen Poonawala is a political activist. Gargi Nandi, why is the TMC silent?
I think, firstly, thank you, Maria, for calling, and today is Shashti. So first, let me wish everybody Shubho Shashti.
Best wishes to you as well.
From the Bengali, Shubho Shashti. So, TMC is silent. It seems that the people of a party, they have distanced themselves from her. She's quite alienated in her party. The reason being, she is not popular in her constituency. As a representative of Krishna Nagor, she has not raised any questions. There are questions about Krishna Nagor. There is a river in Krishna Nagor which is dying, become a gutter, Anjana River. No questions about her. People are suffering, constituency people have forgotten her face. So even the people in the party, that they do not like that. And coming to Mahua Moitra, I think, she is an imported MP of TMC and comes from a corporate background. Coming from a corporate background, Maria, I feel she has come with corporate-like ambitions also. She only wants to make a name, and the best way is to attack Modi, talk against Kali, because something like that, then that will give her publicity. But she is not bothered about the people who have elected her and sent her to the Parliament. So she doesn't deserve to be in the Parliament as an MP, as a representative of the people. And let me also tell you, Maria, in Bengali we have a saying, Chorer Mayer Boro Gala, which literally means that the thief's mother has the loudest voice. And I think Mahua Moitra is the greatest example of that. She herself has taken gifts and favors to ask questions, and she has the loudest voice.
Okay,
so that is the greatest example.
Why are other leaders who have been named by Darshan Hiranandani in this affidavit silent? Rahul Gandhi, Shashi Tharoor, Pinaki Misra, all of them were clearly, as Darshan Hiranandani seems to be indicating, seems to be suggesting parts of some larger conspiracy here.
Well, good evening, Maria. Very happy Durga Puja to you, to all the co-panelists and to the viewers. Well, what Mahua Moitra has done is clearly indefensible. If I can explain to you the gravity of her indiscretion, it's like somebody working in a corporate entity in a senior position, let's suppose in Ernst & Young or Price Waterhouse, sharing the login credentials with somebody in government and the government preparing reports for them. So that is, if I may just, I just juxtapose the situation to explain the gravity of the problem. What she has done is absolutely indefensible, inexcusable, and that is something which every responsible politician would know in this country. Now, I think if you read the affidavit, apart from the charges made against her, there are certain hints which Mr. Hiranandani has given out when he talks about her proximity to people like Rahul Gandhi, to Shashi Tharoor, to Suchita Dayal, and a couple of other journalists. And I think these people need to be equally probed. When Darshan Hiranandani makes that affidavit, obviously, there was no necessity for him to include those names, but he has given out a hint. And if you look at the nature of questions, the nature of Rahul Gandhi's attack, some 8 months ago, he was hell-bent on attacking 2 industrialists. If you remember, hum do, hamare do. Now, where has the other industrialist disappeared? Has there been a deal? These are important questions which the opposition will have to answer. Were the nature of their question completely tampered?
Okay, Tehseen. Will Rahul Gandhi explain his position now on this? Only just recently he held another press conference. And I don't even remember the number of press conferences he has held on this issue. It's been a press conference a day during the parliament session. The budget session of parliament, a complete washout. 17 parties demanding JPC. What happened to all those demands? And Rahul Gandhi leading the charge along with Mahua Moitra.
Good evening, Maria. Thank you for having me on the show, and a very happy Navratri and Durga Puja to all our fellow panelists and to all your viewers, especially to Gargi. I'm glad Rahul Gandhi has press conferences. Somebody in our country does. The Honorable Prime Minister has 0. Let's not go there. Let's speak about facts. And I want to put something out. I'm not in favor of the Adani group being attacked. I'm going to take names because, and that is something I've advised the Congress time and again. It's not right. I personally have a lot of regard for them. So I think they should not bring corporates in politics. And I'm going to take the bull by the horns. But I have some questions here. I'm not a fan of Mahua Moitra. I, in fact, sometimes think she does cross the line. I do believe this at times. But I have some questions. 2 people, her ex-boyfriend and Mr. Hiranandani, today come out in public, one damning her. If you are in a relationship with a girl, now her private pictures are being made public, you are in a relationship, and if she was doing something wrong, the fact is, as an officer of the court, the advocate was in a relationship and was duty bound to go to the court and say what's going wrong. He refuses to do that. He does it after a breakup. And Mr. Hiranandani, whose father is so-called nationalist on YouTube giving interviews about how great Yogi Adityanath ji is, and his son staying in Dubai, the nationalist son, if Mahua Moitra was dominating him as per his letter to bribe opposition MPs, whatever names he's taken, did he not have brains of his own not to do it? And if Mahua Moitra gave him her login password, which in your show last time I said, and it went very viral, Maria, that giving a login password is absolutely a crime. But if she gave him a password, was he some kindergarten kid that he did not know that he shouldn't take the password and was logging into a parliamentary thing? I am not defending Moitra. In fact, I am.
So you are actually defending Hiranandani.
No,
you are saying that
I think I am against Hiranandani. I am very against Hiranandani. Let me say, Hiranandani is a scumbag. Let me tell you this. I am actually pro-Adani. Let's be very clear on this. If this Mr. Hiranandani scumbag took a password, was he a kindergarten kid that today
yes,
is giving
so,
a password?
For him to use that for posting, that certainly shows that he is also not a kindergarten kid.
Absolutely. And I hold no
Darshan Hiranandani, while we are looking at the allegations, he has to come clean on why he posted those questions.
Not just
there
that,
are business
Maria.
interests which are at play. There is a corporate war which is at play.
Exactly, and targeting the Adani group. And not just that, let me go one step further. If, as per Mr. Hiranandani's
So what action will be taken against him?
Just 1 second. Maria, I think there's a lag. Just 1 second, so your viewers can understand. Not just that, let me put one more thing. If Mr. Hiranandani was a so-called submissive pawn in the hands of dominating Mahua to go and go to opposition MPs, what was he? Was he smoking some kind of a joint that he didn't know that this is illegal?
Okay.
I mean, what
do he respond to this?
All of this.
No, I don't think so. Does the BJP have sympathies with Darshan Hiranandani?
Not at all. Not at all. Darshan Hiranandani is equally complicit and guilty.
Right.
But over here, we are primarily concerned with Mahua Moitra. Obviously, when the IPC, when an FIR is filed in the case, Darshan Hiranandani will have to go through his trial. But Mahua Moitra, being a member of parliament, she has done something which is akin to match fixing in cricket. She has traded the interests of the country. 50 out of 61 questions were planted. But, on another level, imagine what low IQ she would be having if somebody has to feed her questions and, the country and the woke ecosystem believed she was so intelligent. But the buck over here really stops with Mamta Banerjee. Mamta Banerjee needs to come out and explain, was she privy to the happenings, to the aberrant lifestyle of Mahua Moitra, of what was going on in her bungalow.
Questions about the party boss. Will the party boss explain Harshvardhan Tripathi? What about other party bosses? Will Mr. Kharge explain Rahul Gandhi's role? You know, so because there are India parties who have all been silent right now. If all of them were standing together in Parliament, derailing Parliament sessions, Parliament was a washout during the budget session, then something has to be explained here. Accountability has to be sought also from the members of Parliament.
निश्चित तौर पर बारिया, और मुझे लगता है कि देश की सबसे पुरानी पार्टी और मुख्य विपक्षी पार्टी कांग्रेस की जिम्मेदारी बनती है। और आमतौर पर मैं तहसीन भाई के तर्कों से बड़ा खुश होता हूं, बड़ी फैक्टफुल बात करते हैं, लेकिन आज उन्होंने एक जो लॉजिक दिया कि वो उसके एक्स बॉयफ्रेंड या उसने पिक्चर रिलीज कर दी, उसके डिस्कशन के लिए हम यहां नहीं आए हैं इस शो पर।
जी बिल्कुल,
क्लैरिटी है, ये देश के लोकतंत्र को, देश के संविधान को कमजोर करने की कोशिश एक सांसद ने की है। ये क्रिमिनल ऑफेंस है, ये क्राइम है। इसमें तो महुआ मोइत्रा, अगर ये सच है अभी तक जो दिख रहा है, इसमें जेल जाना चाहिए। संसद सदस्यता जाएगी, ये तो कैश फॉर क्वेरी में हम पहले देख चुके हैं। लेकिन अगर सांसद ने अपना लॉगिन दे दिया दर्शन हीरानंदानी को, दर्शन हीरानंदानी ने उसे इस्तेमाल किया है, और अगर आज दर्शन हीरानंदानी कह रहा है कि ये फैक्ट है जो देश के सामने रखना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि मेरा नाम सामने आया, तो जो भी कानून के दायरे में होगा वो सजा हीरानंदानी को भी मिलेगी। लेकिन महुआ मोइत्रा, जिसने इतने दिनों तक एक इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट के खिलाफ ये एक, जिसको हम कहते हैं ना कि माहौल खड़ा किया, उसमें राहुल गांधी से लेकर देश के दूसरे बड़े नेता शामिल रहे। और जो सबसे बड़ी बात है, मैं कह रहा हूं, गौतम अडानी हो, मुकेश अंबानी हो, टाटा हो, बिरला हो, कोई भी हो, अगर देश में किसी उद्योगपति ने गलत किया है तो उस पर सवाल उठाने का अधिकार हर सांसद को है। लेकिन क्या किसी एक इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट के खिलाफ कोई एक सांसद इस तरह की कैंपेन चलाता है तो उस पर सवाल नहीं खड़ा होना चाहिए? और अब जब ये सामने आ गया कि क्यों ये कैंपेन चलाई गई, क्यों इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट गौतम अडानी को, अडानी समूह को निशाना बनाया गया, उसके पीछे एक वजह थी, प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी से लड़ने में विपक्ष हार गया। उसको, जिसको कहते हैं ना कि फेम चाहिए थी, तुरंत की रेडी टू इट मटेरियल चाहिए था। और आप इसको जरा आगे देखिए, दुनिया भर में किसी देश में किसी प्रेसिडेंट या प्राइम मिनिस्टर से लड़ने के लिए इस तरह से किसी इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट का सहारा नहीं लिया गया होगा। और मुझे लगता है कि ये वो जगह है जहां देश की संसद को इस पर बात करना चाहिए। महुआ मोइत्रा जैसा उदाहरण दोबारा नहीं हो, भारत की राजनीति में ऐसा कोई धब्बा दोबारा नहीं लगे, इसके लिए बैठकर बात करनी चाहिए।
हर्षवर्धन जी, आप ये मानते हैं कि आज वो अकेली खड़ी हैं?
मारिया, ममता बनर्जी उनके साथ बहुत पहले से नहीं है। आपको अगर एक वो किसी पब्लिक फंक्शन में थी, किसी अपने पार्टी के कार्यक्रम में थी, और उसमें बहुत साफ साफ उन्होंने ये इशारा किया।
लेकिन अभी कुछ दिन पहले वो अभिषेक बैनर्जी के प्रोटेस्ट में दिखी थी, कैसे देखा जाए उसको गार्गी? आई एम कमिंग टू यू तहसीन इन जस्ट अ मिनट बिकॉज़ आई वांट यू टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू हर्षवर्धन।
I want to respond to sure.
Yes, Tessin. Okay, Tessin, you want to say something?
No, आप बोलिए।
Okay, I'll come. Maria. Okay.
पहले आप
the festival of Devi, so we have to allow the Devi to
और वक्त भी खत्म हो जाएगा।
Well, I think coming for that protest, obviously she is in that party, so there is a political optics. But just as Harshvardhan ji ने कहा, I think what she has done, you know, only this login ID and prima facie, if this is proven login ID and password is shared, is a criminal offence. Only 2/8 of the parliamentarian who are registered can have that. So it is not there is no question as a corporate person is having that.
Okay.
So it's a severe crime. And let me tell you, Maria, coming to that, second, what's it, Tessin, I really don't think that you should have brought about her ex-boyfriend and all. We are not discussing that.
Yes.
And as you said now, that the TMC head also have distanced themselves.
Let me
tell you, Maria, I don't
because the spotlight right now, the spotlight is on the question, Tessin, and everybody on the panel is on the question on political parties. All those political parties who are talking about this alleged nexus, now where are they when the nexus is talking, you know, is unraveling of a different kind? They were talking about something.
One second,
अब कुछ और दिख रहा है, पर्दे के पीछे की बात दिख रही है।
1 second, Tyson, I'll make a point.
I'm exactly saying what you are saying. Gargi ji, may I please make my point?
Boliye.
One second, one last. I don't
just
think
allow me to make my point because I have to respond to
I don't think, Maria, that next year Mahua will get a ticket from TMC. So she is so alienated. Please know the people of her constituency is suffering. Okay, and even today, you know, her constituency, Krishnanagar, Noida district, they are known for corruption. They are the person Manik Bhattacharya. His bail has been rejected. Why? He is accused of job selling. So they have sold jobs. They have sold cows. They can sell questions too. That is the tradition of TMC. Yes,
may I make my point now? This particular incident has three primary characters. Mahua Moitra, for whom I have no sympathy whatsoever, and there are two other characters. The reason of I'm not bringing the ex-boyfriend for a relationship. I am saying A is an ex-boyfriend who now comes in apparently to be clean, but he was in a relationship when this corruption was happening, or this alleged corruption. He's now clean. The other person, Mr. Hiranandani's son, who was dominated by Mahua Moitra. Now the question where he pointed to the BJP is, I think the Adani group has been wrongly targeted. I started by that. Now, will the BJP take away every contract given to the Hiranandani group, including the data center? Because suddenly it sounds like the BJP thinks the Hiranandani group is some kosher person. But here is a gentleman who, by his own admission, was apparently bribing opposition members on the insistence of a dominating Mahua Moitra.
Yeah, 30 seconds. To you, and then I'll wrap this debate.
Friend,
you know, since you've talked about big faces, we'll be looking at the big faces. Yeah, go ahead, 30 seconds.
My friend Tehseen needs to realize that Mahua Moitra's ex-boyfriend is not a public figure. So even he has committed a crime as a public figure, the onus is far greater on Mahua Moitra. You know, the two questions which remain from here, Maria, are is Hiranandani the only person to whom she has given her login credentials, or there are other people? Because, you know, he has clearly mentioned a couple of other journalists, and we have social media communication between that journalist and her about sharing certain material. Number two, are other parties similarly involved? Because again, you know, like he has given out a hint, he has named a couple of politicians. There could be others involved, because we have seen this opposition. They have been frivolous. They have they just don't want Parliament to function. So on frivolous grounds on Pegasus, when they could have clearly filed an FIR as advised by the government, they rather, you know, destroyed an entire session of Parliament.
Tuhin Sinha, appreciate your time. Gargi, Harshvardhan Tripathi and Tehseen Poonawala, thank you so much. Who are the big faces involved in this entire controversy? The characters, as we are talking about. Tanima Biswas explains. That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching.
Right, there are a number of big names involved in this entire cash for query saga, and we are trying to decode what their roles are and also what are the big allegations against them. First up, of course, Mahua Moitra herself, who's at the center of this storm. The TMC MP has been accused of asking questions in Parliament in exchange for money. In fact, she was allegedly asked to pose questions to target PM and the Adani group in Parliament. In fact, 50 out of the 61 questions asked by Mahua Moitra are said to be linked to Hiranandani and the Adani group. That's the main allegation against Moitra. Going on to the next person, that's Jay Dehadrai. He is the lawyer who actually came out with these details in a complaint. He's a Supreme Court lawyer and a former associate of Mahua Moitra. He's been accused, he has in fact rather accused Mahua of taking bribes and asking questions. In fact, he sent the complaint details and the affidavit on a complaint to the CBI as well. And a copy of this affidavit complaint was sent to BJP MP Nishikant Dubey, which brings us to Nishikant Dubey himself. He is the one who actually took Jay Dehadrai's complaint to the Lok Sabha Speaker. He also filed a formal complaint along with the copy of Jay Dehadrai's affidavit to the IT Minister, and he has in fact been called by the Parliament Ethics Committee to depose before them on October 26th. Darshan Hiranandani, the CEO of Hiranandani Group, is another big face who's involved in this entire episode that we are covering. He has in fact admitted to bribing Mahua. In fact, these are some of the big revelations which have come through in the affidavit by Hiranandani himself, where he has admitted to bribing Mahua to pose questions in the parliament. He's also admitted to using her Lok Sabha login and password, and also of uploading questions on the parliament website, according to what he had in fact said in his affidavit. He's also alleged that Mahua Moitra targeted the Prime Minister for her own political success. Let's move on to Rahul Gandhi, the Congress MP. His name has also come up in this entire controversy. As per Hiranandani, his affidavit, Mahua was close to Rahul Gandhi, was in touch with Rahul Gandhi throughout this entire process. She was continuously in touch with him, and in fact, we've also seen that the Congress MP has repeatedly raised Adani Group's name in the parliament, and despite a report of committee set up by the Supreme Court, he has been pushing for a JPC on this entire Hindenburg report. Shashi Tharoor, senior Congress leader, his name's also come up in Hiranandani's affidavit, where Hiranandani goes on to say that Shashi Tharoor is also very close to Mahua Moitra, and according to the affidavit, he helped out Mahua Moitra when she was in fact framing some of these questions. Pinaki Mishra, BJD MP, is also said to be a close friend of Mahua Moitra, and according to Darshan Hiranandani's affidavit, he helped Mahua Moitra in the anti-Modi, anti-Adani campaign. Which brings us to senior journalist Sucheta Dalal. Now, she allegedly provided unconfirmed information related to the Adani Group to Mahua Moitra, and similar to Sucheta Dalal, Shardul Shroff and Pallavi Shroff, who are top corporate lawyers based out of Mumbai, they also allegedly provided unconfirmed information related to the Adani Group to Mahua Moitra. Now, the last person that we are going to talk about, George Soros, billionaire investor. In fact, his name has come up in the past as well when we were in fact reporting on the Hindenburg report. He is responsible for currency crisis in many countries. But how is he linked to all this? He allegedly ran the campaign against Adani Group and the Prime Minister and used short sellers Hindenburg to bring out the report against the Adani Group. In fact, his name also figures in that affidavit which has been submitted by Hiranandani.